Good morning. It is May 9th, about 7:03, a couple of minutes late again. What is going on with that? This is Bev. This is the Bev D Show. A little something I got going on Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. You can find this podcast on Spreaker. Go there. Follow, like, share. That way, when I get on a whim and anytime I decide to go live, you'll be notified about the show going live. And the other thing is, you might find other podcasts there that you like, but certainly the more likes I get or shares, it carries my word a little bit farther. And, I have different types of shows each day talking about different topics and things like that. I got a real nice text from someone yesterday that said it's very transparent, that my show is very transparent. And I love that word. I do, because I love being able to see things clearly. But what else would it be if I weren't telling the truth? What fun is there in that? So including today. I know that I'm usually trying to share how I got through tough times or advise on what you might want to do to try this or try that. Stretch if you've never stretched before, touch your toes if you've never touched your toes before, but do something different every day. And that will lead you into not necessarily, if you're having a tough time, not necessarily a joyful day, but it will lead you into a day where you could say, you know what, I at least touched my toes 10 times, and that's good for my body. So do yourself a favor and do something a little different every day, which is what I had to do today. I don't know if this has ever happened to you guys, but I woke up after a dream that I'd had, and my dad passed away in 1981. That put me at 21 years old, and it was a sudden death, and really great man, honestly, just amazing. And he, we all just miss him so much. And sometimes my deceased relatives come into my dreams, and pretty heavily. And I woke from a dream today about my dad. And it was odd, and it was at our old house, the house I grew up in. And, some of the characters that are in this dream are a little foggy. I'm not quite sure, but I do remember my dad running to the house to see if everything was okay. And in doing that, it put me in a funk this morning, and it made me a little bit sad. And, so, as I get choked up telling you the story, realizing how affected I was by it, I, took a dose of my own medicine, and I turned up the radio, how cute is that? My stereo, and blasted it and did some exercises. And I don't know what it is. The water from a shower always cleanses my soul and gets me to thinking differently. Everybody has their time with their spirit in different places. Some people listen to things in the car. Some people actually take baths and relax that way and meditate. But I highly recommend doing something that gets you to that place, that inner place where you can see, where maybe you have done something wrong and where you can learn from it. And today's, little segment, title of today's show is Accept to Not Expect. And the reason why I say that is it's kind of funny. Jerry Seinfeld said, human beings are the worst. And I love to say that sometimes when they really disappoint me. But I will promise you this. Human beings and their responses to things and what they say to you will always surprise you. And they may hurt you, and they may make you angry, and it may be you were expecting a big sale to come in on a certain day, and you just couldn't wait to close that big deal. And lo and behold, that person went on vacation, and they won't be back for 2 weeks. So you feel disappointment. Why didn't I call him yesterday afternoon just to catch up and make sure? Whatever it may have been, you thought for sure that solid deal was coming through. You couldn't wait. It was going to make you happy, your family happy, your boss happy, your sales team happy, and it didn't come through. That's a lot of burden to carry on your shoulders. This happens in relationships too. You expect someone to do something because you think in your head, well, that's how I would have responded or what I would have done. And then when they don't, then you fall disappointed. Get into the training mode, and I fell to this. You have to be able to arm yourself with the way to pick yourself up back up real quick. It's not that you won't get disappointed. It's not that you won't be hurt, but it's what you do with that. You have to have some ammunition built inside of expecting that. Hey, you know what? I can't control that. So expect to not be able to control what may happen to you. That client that promised you they would do something or send you something or make it so that things could happen for you and for them, and they just got too busy and just didn't. And you're like, daggone it. You know, you can't control that. You want to. You want to take their hand and say, well, here, let me do this for you, but you can't. So expect or have the ammunition of expectation right parallel with accepting that it's not going to happen, accepting that that might go a different way. When everything falls into place and everybody says all the, everything comes together and all is good, that's the balance. Because there's a lot of more of true disappointment that could come your way in a day than elation. So arm ourselves with that. So how do we do that? Say to yourself each day, there's only certain things that you are in control of. And be able to say, you know what? Let's just take the sales scenario again. He told me it would come through on the 8th. He told me to call him at 10 o'clock on the 8th. I can't wait to call him at 10 a.m. on the 8th to close this deal. But there's a chance his daughter might get sick. He might not be able to make it to work that day. Something may come up. I have to be able to arm myself with the fact that that might not take place. Why? Why might not take place? Could you possibly get sick and not show up for work on the 8th and miss your 10 o'clock appointment? Yep. Could you suddenly have to take time off because someone needed you and you were going to miss that 10 o'clock appointment on the 8th? Yep. So always balance with what could happen with what you might do yourself. And then that way, when it happens, you go through a period of possible disappointment, but make it short. And then bring yourself back to zero, reset, and give yourself a chance to come up from that. Because it's going to happen. And you are going to get disappointed. And the thing that I've been talking about so much lately is time. And when I was on, when I had my show on Tuesday and was talking to my nephew Todd, we can't help, both of us, but talking about time and how precious time is. His father passed away. My mom and dad are gone. My two brothers are gone, as well as my sister-in-law. And the reason why I keep bringing that up, everybody dies, nobody gets out alive. But even when we go to the funeral or the service or, whatever they want to name it, the celebration of their life, you are there with the living. Those things are not, people say they're paying their respects, and I appreciate that. And that's what but it's more about going there and realizing, these 75 to 100 people loved this person just like me. And there's an energy that comes from that. Everybody thinking the same way at the same time. Oh, how much they're going to miss this person. And then what happens magically in the room is love. And it's a transference. So the one thing you can get from that, though, is realizing, again, another reminder, time is precious. If you want to do something here on earth, if you want to find a way to get through a day or be a little bit more happy, I've often heard it said that money doesn't necessarily make you happy, but boy, does it sure bring peace of mind. So, it's ways of bringing peace of mind to you. And, if we make a lot of money and we abuse that money, then what good is it? But if we make a lot of money for security purposes and it makes us feel better about being able to pay our bills and that kind of thing, that brings us peace of mind. Just like being able to adjust to zero, finding your peace of mind. Okay, that happened. They did that. I wasn't expecting that. I didn't think they would do that. And this can happen in the workplace. Different things can happen with managers and managerial decisions and things. And you're like, wow, I didn't see that coming. And it affects you. So I have taken this, I don't know exactly what you want to, this mental theory and thought to accept, okay, I didn't expect that to happen, but I accept that it did. Now, what am I going to do with it? What is my part in this? And how do I move forward? Again, the reason why I bring up time, how long do you want to spend? What is the legitimate amount of time that you think that you should be hurt or disappointed or angry or sad? Is there a time limit? Is it 5 minutes? Is it 1 minute? Is it an hour? Should I carry this baggage around with me for a year or a decade? Because some of us do, present company included. What are you going to do with that? What that does, that blame, shame, anger, guilt, sadness, woulda, shoulda, couldas, they can take up a real big spot. Big old heavy spot in your real estate in your heart. You got to move them out. You got to say, you're not paying rent. You got to get the hell out of here because I have a life to live and I got to move in positivity, trying, change, inspiration, things that will fill your heart with life. Because blame, shame, anger, guilt, woulda, shoulda, couldas are ingredients to death. Not that you're physically going to die, but what's the point of your life if that's what you're carrying around? And I know there's a lot of sad people out there. And there's a lot of people motioning and moving around through life and getting through where they need to be and doing what they need to do in a day because they're carrying around some really old luggage that is filled with those things. And I say, go to the mental store and buy yourself some brand new, I don't care, Louis Vuitton. Fill it up. Fill it up with happiness, inspiration. Just pack those things in there. Imagine those words, just putting them in there and saying, I don't know what to do with these yet, but I would rather carry them around in a suitcase than the other. Reason for this podcast, I want to shake people up just a little bit. If I can get you shook up a little bit, I don't, disagree with me, agree with me, say, hey, that inspired me. But there are things that have happened to me in my life and people that have come into my life and in and out of my life that, I realize, okay, and whether it was a lost friend or a family member that passed away or a sweet little 6-year-old girl that was in first grade with my daughter that got cancer and right before our eyes vanished and passed away from that. And you can't believe, and you read in the, you read your news and you look at all these inspirational stories and I don't know, one came through my Facebook page and I had to make sure it was real and they weren't lying to me, but a woman passed away while giving birth to her baby. And that goes on all the time. It's just the stories of what, we don't know our path. We think we do. We got plans. We're going to go on vacation. We're going to build a house. We're going to buy a car. We think we got that all mapped out. Remember this.